Hi. Hi, Lynn. We are live. How are
Hello.
you?
All right.
So, what a
I'm
fun,
good,
fun.
thanks. How are you?
Good, good. This will be kind of a unique and kind of fun book. If you are watching, I have written a devotional, and the devotional is called Rinse, Reflect, Repeat. And this devotional is walking through the Bible year and doing it alphabetically, which makes it kind of unique. And what I have been doing is recapping as we go through every single book. And at the very end of that book, I go live and I invite people to come live with me. And when we go live, we just do a quick recap. Nothing big, nothing super in depth, but it's just staying accountable to reading the Bible through and talking about what you're reading. And Lynn is so consistent. She's been a special guest and has been walking through it as well. And so today we are going to be talking about First Chronicles. And I know that people, sometimes will um, skip over some books because when you skip over books like First Chronicles or other ones that are coming up, it kind of can be one of those books that people don't quite understand how we can make it applicable to. So it's always fun to go ahead and just commit to reading those books. And so here we are. We've just finished First Chronicles, or actually tomorrow will be the last two chapters of the book of First Chronicles and the first chapter of the book of Second Chronicles. So I did it tonight, and we'll go on. So anyway, I love First Chronicles. It might not be necessarily one that is a person's favorite book to read, but anyway, I have some pretty golden nuggets that I always glean from this book. And so here we are talking about First Chronicles and just quickly recapping it from my book and using some of the devotions that I wrote regarding that. So Lynn, do you want to share a takeaway or two?
Sure. I love Chronicles too, First and Second Chronicles, and I hadn't honestly read through them for a while. So it was refreshing to do that. And I think that, there's little things I could probably pick out from just about any day, but maybe just to start out with one of them, just to kind of give some thoughts on January 13th. Every person behind a name is valuable. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that. There's a lots of chapters in the Bible where like just lists of names. That's pretty crazy, like numbers. But I
Yeah.
think about how you were talking about Anita, how God sees the value in each of us, and I have found it very fascinating to look up the meaning of names. Oh my gosh, it's fascinating. I mean, you can almost find little narratives, little stories when you look at different names and you think of the context, like where they're being used in the word. And it just makes things so rich. But I also like to think about with a name, it's an identifier of you as like we're humans, we're people, females, males, whatever our gender is. But the name is something that's so particular to an individual. And I just think about how God knows our name and he knows us so personally and everything. And I guess between that and just kind of looking up names, taking some time, looking up what names mean in the word and reading along with that, the story, and then just feeling how special we are to God with the name. That's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a few takeaways from that day anyway. Pretty
That's good.
awesome.
Yeah. Uh, hi, Leslie. I see that she's jumping on with watching it. We miss you. You're certainly welcome to join on the link if you would like. Um, yeah, in fact, I think that that specific that specific day was also really impactful for Haley. I think she really liked that as well. I just love how that my perspective changed. And it changed because as I was sharing in the devotion, I'm in the entertainment industry. I'm in movies, and I never really appreciated that the credits until I got into the entertainment industry. And so then when I started appreciating the
Hmm.
credit, I still didn't quite appreciate all of the names that were in the Bible. And then one day it was like, you're reading the credits of this movie that God has put together. And
Hmm.
it's
Yes.
we liken our stuff to, we always hear how that God's the author of our story, and let God be the director of our movie. But it's impactful when we are actually reading the credits of the movie that God is directing, and so I that's how I kind of likened it. So yeah. Okay, Leslie just said, I love how you brought that out, that God does know our name and loves us individually. Yes, he does. It's fun
Hmm.
to see that. Yeah. And then my aunt here, she's here watching us. Hello, Aunt Judy. um yeah, I also really loved the Jabez influence day of Chronicles, when Jabez uh
Yes.
that was another little clip in my mind of a movie. I mean, I don't know, I can just see Ezra when he's pulling out the scrolls, and he's going through all of the names and going through all of the people, and all of a sudden he lifts his eyes and declares Jabez. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother named him Jabez. And then he
Hmm.
says the quote. So it's almost like out of the midst of it all, Jabez was influential in and of itself. And his name was paused in the credits and said this, and then went on to the credit. I don't know. It's like I like that part of it as well. And yeah, you can see Sunboom, my aunt. The value of the names impacted me so much and has given my prayer life a deeper richness by focusing on saying the names as I pray for needs. That's so impactful. That
Amen.
is good. Yes. I love that. And it kind of does help us to appreciate our names, you know, I guess a little bit more. Um, and Jan has joined us as well. She
Yep.
says, "There you are. Hi, Jan. We're just recapping First Chronicles, uh, uh, and just walking through the devotion. Was there any other parts of First Chronicles that kind of stuck out to you?" I love how that the day that we were talking about going against the odds, how that Shira, I just loved how that also God uses women, and in the midst of going against the grain, He uses women like that. So uh, I don't know. I liked that. That was kind of special. And did you enjoy the guest speaker, Jacqueline Witt? Did you see that podcast or listen to
Yeah.
it?
Yes, very much. I
Yeah.
did.
And I was
Yes, it was awesome.
Yeah, I was really hoping to convey the boomerang, like when we send off something, it's going to
Hmm.
return to us. And we just have to understand that when we send blessings off, they come back. And being a boomerang friend, how she had impacted me, and giving me blessings like that. So I don't know. I loved the fact that she was able to come on as a guest. And in in the next month or so, I'm going to be bringing on my son, and my mom and my dad are going to be three guest
Aw,
speakers, in in February. So
yay.
that'll come in yes, Leslie, there is a
Awesome. I'll
book.
get to see your mom and dad.
Yes, yes. I actually, we just got back from our trip to California, and I had two goals while I was there, other than obviously, with visiting family and friends. But there's a specific day in February that I wanted her to be a guest, and then there's a specific day in February to have my dad as well. And so it'll be interesting. I was able to actually record those while we were there, so that was really fun. So yeah, Jacqueline
Awesome.
was my very first guest, and so that was fun. Yeah, let's see. Um, the chapter where it talks about David's anger towards God for how he reacted to how the ark was handled made me realize how human David was. Yeah. Um, yeah,
Hmm.
he was very human, very
Yep.
human. And we're just getting a highlight of it in the Chronicles, because that's what Chronicles is it's just kind of a highlight of it. We'll go into, like, for sure,
Hmm.
more depth of it in in futuristic. Yeah, and uh oh, and back to the guests. Thank you, Leslie. Yes, I will be bringing my family in,
Hmm.
and I mentioned them several times through the book, so it'll be kind of fun to see that. um yeah, and following David's coming of the ark back to Jerusalem. Yes. Yeah, David is, I don't know. David's pretty cool, right? A lot of people focus on some of his faults, but we also remember his absolute humanness. And First Chronicles is a great way um, to to share in that. And like even today, the parade of excitement, yeah. The parade, and when we prophesy, when we praise, um and that one was really good. Yeah.
Yes, I think that's a cool point because you're thinking about praise. I was kind of going through a Bible study, a little book on rest, and it's very interesting because bringing up this praise thing, in a sense, rest is for praise because God rested on the seventh day. He was being just restful in a sense. But you think about, well, does God really need to rest? Well, not like we do. But you think about when you look for the Israelites, they were to work 6 days and rest on that Sabbath. Part of that was to praise and thank God. He brought them through the week. He said, I'll take care of you on that seventh day. You don't do work, rest. And I just, we think of rest as maybe like sleeping or just doing, not working, literally labor. But I was just getting such a sense of that praise along with that. And so I appreciated, also what you were talking about in the devotional, Anita, about, just that praise. It's praise it's throughout the Bible. And it's just wonderful that God brings that up so often. It's awesome.
Yeah, prophesying when we praise. Yeah, and it's really interesting because I know I've been convicted of this before, where I might go to a certain church and not necessarily enjoy the style of worship music or the style of songs or whatever. When you grow up a certain way, and I mean, I grew up listening to hymns, and um you know I can't remember
Hmm.
what the radio station was, but we listened to this one specific radio station all the time, all the way to church, all the way home. Every time it was always there, and that's kind of like embedded in me. But then there comes a moment where you like different styles of music. But the reality of it is, um, I think sometimes God tells us to kind of get over ourselves a little bit when we're like, oh, I don't really like that kind of music, and so therefore I don't, like that church, and I don't know that. I think sometimes God's like, is that really a good thing? You know? So that was the reason why I challenged everyone today to look at a song that they haven't really gravitated to and look at the lyrics of the song versus focusing on so much of, how it's played or the beat or whatever. So it is interesting, some of the, you know, different perspectives of when we read the Bible, what we can actually glean from it. So yeah, I don't know. I love the Chronicles. It was a quickie one. Yeah. Leslie says, I agree with you, Anita. We have our preferences, but need to be open to everything the Lord has for us, even if it's different. Yep, you're right. Um, being different is a good thing at times. So, um, yeah, that was really it. I mean, I know it's First Chronicles is, it wasn't a super super long book, but I certainly enjoyed, um, you know, having a guest on, and the day when we talked about Are You Prepared? And when I talked about the Macy's Day Parade, I was hoping to convey the fact that there are times where making sure that our skill set is set. So when we're practicing and when we're developing our skills, we're preparing for something that's in the future that might not necessarily be foreseen. Because I mean, all those people were skilled, but they probably, maybe there were other parades that had happened, just like the Macy's Day Parade comes every year. Maybe there's other celebrations, I'm sure, that they were a part of. It's just this one was a pretty big deal. um, so are we prepared in making sure that not just our craft is good, but our hearts are ready too? So that was one thing about the Chronicles that you'd see David and others praising. And it's kind of cool to see. So, anyway, do you have anything else, Lynn, that you want to share, or anybody in the comments?
Just trying to think here. I'm just looking through my notes here real quick. I think on January 18th, can Satan make us do wrong? I'm glad, I'm thankful how you addressed that. We do have choice. And the thing it's happened to me in my life, I'm sure all of us, because we're human. But I think about how God, and this is really true in David's life too. David was by no means a perfect person, and none of us are. Only the Lord Jesus is a perfect person, human. But God still, despite everything, David was still the man after God's very own heart. God still loves us through all of that. And it doesn't take me very long to think of times where I'm thinking, wow, I'm just amazed that he does, because just things that, wrong choices, just things that I was not paying attention maybe or something. But God knows my heart. He knows the motives. He knows I'm human. He knows, and he still loves me. And I'm just so thankful for that. So awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's certainly important where we have to just be really on guard for making sure that we don't fall into those traps. And one of the things that Leslie said was, one of the things that caught my attention about First Chronicles is how much order and organization God and the Israelites put into
Mm.
worship and their corporate relationship to God. Yeah, there was a lot of
Yeah.
order and organization for sure. And probably our traditional churches, always there's always some kind of order. But yeah, that's definitely caught your attention. Yeah, that's a good observation, Leslie. um, yeah, so those are just a few little golden nuggets. I mean, I love I grew up with everybody in my family having at least two instruments that we played, and I never really thought that know just like when we prophesy, when we praise, people actually have like a prophetic musicianal, like there are people who will prophetically play instruments, and so
Mhm.
um uh that's that order of what God does, and adding that to worship is good. um oh yeah, back to okay, so another comment. Oh, yes, that was a good one. Realizing that Satan cannot make us do anything. God doesn't force himself on us, but he is faithful to give us the desire to please him. Yeah.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
And I likened it in my podcast that God is a gentleman, and
Hmm.
gentlemen don't force themselves onto other people. I heard a pastor say that once, and he doesn't force himself on us. So he just guides us, but he's a gentleman, and so yeah, we still have free will. We absolutely do. So yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I am so excited to finish Second Chronicles, because there's more little golden nuggets to come along the way, and there's a couple fun ones in there, and then we end this month, at the end of Second Chronicles. We end it, and then that'll be January 31st. So January 31st. What day is that? I haven't even paid attention.
Friday.
Friday night. Okay, yeah. So Friday night, uh, barring any emergencies, I'll plan on going live on Friday night and ending this whole entire first month of reading the Bible through, and
Mm.
just recapping the Second Chronicles, and then starting on the next one, which is Colossians. So
Mhm.
that'll be a fun
That's a
journey.
good
So
one.
I hope you guys, all of you who are watching and who will watch in the future, again, if you don't have my book, you can find it on Amazon, or you can go to anitacordell.com, and there's my link tree where it's got a link that goes there. Yeah, I know. Leslie just said it's hard to believe how fast January is going by. I know. And realistically, Second Chronicles, is the ending of it. And yeah, I mean, this is how I mean, I know it's like today's the 19th. We're already halfway through, or more than halfway through the month. So, but yeah, look, we've already read 3 books of the Bible, and we're getting ready to start the 4th. And so how cool is that? But yeah, um, hope you guys join us on the 31st, and you know, get the recaps of Second Chronicles. Do you have anything else to say before we close out, Lynn?
Think I'm good. It's been awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. So, okay, well, good night, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening and your week. And certainly feel free to post any of your thoughts along the way in our Facebook group. If you have not joined our Facebook group and you're watching this, it's just Rinse, Reflect, Repeat Devotional with Anita Cordell. And I love reading you guys' comments when you are, diving into the devotionals. So, It's fun. So anyway, well, you guys have a great week, and we will see you on the 31st.
All right, thank you.
Okay, and as always, keep rinsing, reflecting, and repeating. God bless you guys.
All right, you too.